guys, welcome to another great show, Everything Hollywood, with my friend Larry Namer. Hello, Larry. How are you?
I'm good. You got some exotic background there. Where are you?
I'm in Menlo Park, California, only a block away from the Facebook campus. Out taking a few days with family, visiting family. So it's uh, it's a pleasure to see you. What's going on? What's the latest
I
with
don't know, but
you
another
over there?
musician. It must be good to be a musician. You get all these vacations and stuff. What's
Yeah,
going on? I'm here in LA, where we've got this heat wave and drought and all of that. We've been told we got to conserve water and we got to cut back 15% and do all of that,
wow.
which I'm complying the best as I can. And things are okay. They're beginning to get back a little bit to normal. There's some production that's happening, and I'm finding people are much more open to having meetings and stuff like that. So, little by little, things are returning. Uh, Maybe not to exactly the way we knew them, but a little more towards what we would consider normal.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, from what I'm gathering from friends, is that they're inundated with calls and emails, and it seems like all of a sudden everybody wants to get back to work. Do you think a lot of it is projects that people have been pre-planning during pandemic, or is it just people are coming out and it's just a normal thing where people are just calling and say, "Hey, let's talk about projects because now I can come and see you and have lunch and coffee with you." I mean, what do you think that is? These are some real solid projects that are moving forward, or is it just a lot of talk?
Well, I think it's actually all of those things. Number one, you take like our case, mine. Um, we had a lot of projects that we had to put on hold. So, first and foremost, our task is to reinvigorate or restart those projects that were on hold. And, both for our China production as well as our U.S. production. Uh, Number two, the pandemic did give people a lot of time to think of new ideas and come up with new things. So, again, for us, the second thing is, um, things that we kind of started thinking about and developed during the pandemic while we were home and we had a lot of time to, just think about new stuff. Um,
Yeah.
and then last but not least, there's no question there is this feeling that people just want to get out and start to live again. I mean, look at the Cannes Film Festival. Um,
Yeah.
that's so many people went who really weren't thinking of going, but just the thought of getting on a plane and going to a foreign country and going to a film festival again just excited people so much. So I think you kind of have all those things happening at the same time. I mean, it'll return to normal, in a little while, but right now there's just this flurry of activity, and it's good. It gives you hope that there is a future, and things will once again be good.
And I think a lot of it also is because a lot of these platforms, are jumping into doing original content. I mean, I even yesterday I couldn't help but to think about, because I'm only a block away from the Facebook campus. I mean, even Facebook is jumping into doing original content. So maybe there's going to be more work for us, Larry, because all
Yeah,
these platforms are doing original content and they're really enthusiastic and they have budgets to do it, right?
yeah. The number of digital video platforms out there now literally increases every week. Somebody else jumps into the fray and is creating content, and they've got investors and they've got budgets and stuff. So, it's a good time to be a quote Hollywood creative. Whether you come out of the TV world, the film world, the music world, whatever. Um, there's just so much stuff going on, and so many more outlets for your work now that are willing to take chances on stuff. I mean, right now the receptivity to new ideas has never been better.
Yeah, and you know what, I get a lot of emails from people, and I'm sure you do the same, where they want, they have projects, they want to do this, they want to do a film, they want to do a TV show. But you know what? You probably don't need a lot of money to produce. If you have a great idea, you could just put something together. And I'm sure if it's good enough, one of these platforms would want to at least distribute it, right? So I think a lot of people like what I'm getting here, even I'm on vacation and I check my email and I get, people asking questions all the time, hey, I got this great project, it's a musical project or whatever. But I mean, don't you agree that I think if you have talent, you don't necessarily need a lot of money to do like a great project and you'll still be able, because of these great platforms, they're looking for original content, right?
Yeah, I think we're at an unusual point in time because you've got the number of platforms increasing exponentially, but yet
Yeah,
the production world was on hold or on pause or slowed down. So now they're trying to catch up. So they're greenlighting a lot of projects. They're shortcutting the system where before, back in the old days, you'd pitch an idea and they'd want to see a pilot, and you'd go through all of that. Now, if you've got a good idea, you could do a concept tape, which is very cheap, 5, 6, 7 minutes, showing what the idea is, who's in it, getting the concept across. And, if one of these digital platforms or broadcast platforms like it,
yeah.
they'll jump in and commission it, and they'll put up the production budgets and things like that. So it's a good time to be a producer slash creative.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of times, and it's good. That's a very good advice actually, because a lot of people are always looking for a full-on budget. Yeah, I need $2 million to do this or whatever. Not necessarily. What you're saying, Larry, makes a lot of sense because you could spend just a few $1,000s, develop a 5 to 7 minute tape, and that might be good enough. It's if it's a great idea, a platform might jump into it and buy and give you the full budget. So speaking of budgets, didn't California increase their film and TV tax credit? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. And I think, here at Everything Hollywood, we take 100% credit for that change. I'm kidding, but,
Yes.
in last week's show, we had a candidate for governor, and we talked about the need, if California wanted to bring back production, it's going to have to get competitive, uh, not just with the other states, like particularly Georgia and Louisiana, but, you know, even out of the country, places like Toronto, which offer very, very aggressive tax incentives. But this Sunday, um, the California legislature actually approved a very competitive tax incentive plan for the state of California. So, like I say, I joke around and say it was because of our show, but that is joking. But it's coincidence that it happened literally a week after we brought up the subject. California legislature passed, the laws and allocated the budgets to it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a big number by $330 million, which is, pretty substantial amount of money. So, so do you think that that's going to make a big difference as far as productions coming back to California
Yeah,
with this increase?
I think it makes a huge difference. I mean, if you just look at it, let's say I'm shooting, and just so you understand the economics, let's say I'm shooting a series that's going to cost $1 million an episode, and I'm just saying numbers for the sake of the math. Um, so I would have to go out and raise or get from the platform, get $1 million an episode to make it. But if you play, if you're creative with the economics, so if I could shoot in a tax incentive state like before Louisiana, Georgia, and now again in California, I could get a 35% tax credit for money I spend in state. So now my $1 million budget, in order to make my $1 million show, I only need $650,000. So, and my investors get paid when we hit 650, not they don't have to wait to a million. So it makes that investment much more likely to happen. And then, once you kind of have that, and it looks like you're definitely going to have it, then you turn your foreign sales on. And if you've got, one or two stars that are meaningful outside the U.S. On that $1 million show, you may get another two, $300,000 in foreign pre-sales. So now your $1 million show with 650 is now 350. Um, so it totally changes the dynamic. And if you're only in 350 on a $1 million show, you could probably get some bank debt. So let's say you get another 100,000 there. So now, instead of needing a million in cash, I need 250,000 in order to make $1 million TV episode. Um, it just jumpstarts the business tremendously, and the fact that California will now be competitive again with those other states and with Toronto and Vancouver, it will definitely bring a lot of stuff back to California.
So, do you think California felt a lot of pressure after some of these states that, besides, of course, hearing it on our show, and but do you think finally they said, you know what, we got to do something to bring more productions back to California, right? Because of Georgia and Louisiana and some of the other states that you mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, look, there was a time where Hollywood was the center of the media and entertainment universe, and so it went from being a physical place. We say Hollywood, we really mean all of Southern California, and particularly LA. But now, when all these states started introducing their tax credits, we've probably seen half of the production that was done here drift there because the thought of getting 35% of my money back from one place uh, is phenomenal. And the states look at it, they're not looking at hits or anything. They're not evaluating your scripts or anything like that. All they want to know is that you're putting $350,000 worth of people to work within their state, and that's really what they're looking for: is have we gotten more people to work than had worked before? So from a producer point of view, tax incentives are incredibly important, um, and a big part of the decision process as to where we're going to shoot.
So, there's a limit? Um, okay, so if I'm doing a lower budget film, let's say it's a $500,000 film, would that still apply the tax credit, or do you have to be above a certain, like over $1 million or whatever it is, the budget? Is there a cutoff, or that applies to any kind of budget?
Well, it varies state by state, but generally, um, in the few $100,000 range, those things are fine. I mean, you got to submit for approvals, and they want to know that you're legitimate and you know how to produce and you will produce and all of that stuff. But they give you this commitment saying, when you deliver the print or the final production. And you could show that you did employ all the people that you said you were going to employ locally, they release that money to you, and it's a tremendous incentive for bringing production to any place that'll offer tax incentives.
Yeah, no, that's gonna make any difference. So just I'm trying to, just to explain it better for our viewers. So if someone has $1 million budget, let's say I'm doing a film that is, the budget is $1 million. Do I go and raise? So how does it work? Do I need to raise the $1 million first and show that I can produce this film and then get the money back? Or if I'm making $1 million film, I'll go and raise, let's say, 750,000, and then the rest will be sort of the tax credit, correct? Is that I just want to break it down so our viewers can understand it a little bit better.
Yeah, let's say you're making $1 million film, a horror film or something for $1 million. You could go to apply, if you have your script and your production is ready to go, you got your actors and directors and all that. You go to the whatever the state body is that governs the tax incentives, and if they, agree that you've kind of got it together, they'll give you a commitment. And so, generally those things are running about 35%, and I'm generalizing, but most states are kind of around that number. So
Yeah.
now You know, to make your $1 million movie, you really only need 650,000 from investors, because there are a lot of places that will do tax incentive lending. So if you've got a $350,000 commitment, there's a lot of places that will lend you money against that 350. So
Yeah,
it reduces the amount of cash you need to take in from investors. Um, and then you got the whole thing with foreign pre-sales. Um, if you've got a few good actors in it that can carry something foreign, it further reduces the amount of cash you need, because you're going to get some, cash up front. And then, bank loans. If you've got bankable contracts from different, countries, from recognized exhibitors, um, the bank will lend you some of that money. Not they're not going to lend you the vast majority of it, but to lend 10% against $1 million budget when you've already got the pre-sales to back up that thing and secure that loan. So now you're down another 100,000 that you got to raise. So for your investors, who are typically getting their money recouped, um, as it comes in, it lowers the point at which they start to get their money back out of the project.
yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's what people don't realize, that if you can raise some of the money, so this film and tax credit incentive is a really big deal for a lot of the productions in California, right, Larry?
Yeah, well, it's a big deal for everybody, but particularly in California, where we got so used to them, and then they kind of dried up and disappeared. Um, Kind of the rule of thumb that we use when we kind of think through a project is that you need about 40 to 50% of the budget in cash, and the rest comes in the form of tax incentives, loans against tax incentives, pre-sales, etc. So if you got $1 million film, you're looking somewhere between 400,000 and 500,000 in cash needed to make that film.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good. So I'm really happy to see this tax increase. Um, I wanted to get your thought on something, and it's kind of like might be a little bit off topic, but what since we had our friend Ken Davidian from Borat on the show, and I was just reading this morning that there's a huge lawsuit um, against this cannabis company that decided to use Borat as their main kind of like spokesperson. Like they went and got all these billboards and had Sasha Baron Cohen saying, all right, you know, and without asking him, without getting his permission. And he is suing them for millions of dollars. So I just wanted to get your thoughts, because this is like a fictional character. Is that okay for a company to just sort of say, hey, it's a fictional character. I could use that on my billboards, or I can use it for my advertising. What do you think of all of that? It's a big kind of a thing going on. This, so I just read about it, and the reason I'm even bringing it up is because our friend Ken Davidian, who played Azamat, he was the co-star of the first Borat, and it played a big role. So I just wanted to kind of tell you a little bit about it and kind of get your thoughts to see if that's okay for people to do, or what are your thoughts on that?
Um, well, first of all, I don't think it makes a difference if it's a fictional character or non-fictional character, whatever. I mean, if you're using the likeness, and the image of Sasha Baron Cohen, I don't care who he's playing. Um, that's blatantly illegal. It's blatantly theft of intellectual property rights and all kinds of stuff. I mean, anybody who think they can get away with it is incredibly naive into where the laws are and the protections are and stuff like that. You can't do something like that. It's You're making believe that somebody endorsed the product, which they didn't do, which they've had no part of, and to put even their picture on a billboard is just crazy. And uh, I hope Sasha Baron Cohen and the people that are filing the suit teach whoever's doing it a lesson.
Yeah, so what is the cutoff? Is there a thing? Because I've seen, on YouTube and other platforms where people go out and reference a film. So I just want to understand, if you're not making money from it, then it's okay to use. But if like this cannabis company, obviously they make a lot of money. I mean, I don't know, but I'm assuming that they make money. But what if it was for something that they weren't making money? It's all the same, right? Or there's a thing where you can use uh, a character on your show or something, but if it's only for a, limited amount of time and you're not making money, because I get sometimes questions from people because they don't really understand. They want to reference a film, they want to reference a show, but they don't know, hey, should I do it? Should I not do it? I know for music, you're not supposed to, at all. If I hear my music somewhere, I immediately, know, and actually have a service that kind of watches over all that stuff. So maybe you can tell our audience a little bit on how that works in general.
Sure, there's a lot of policies that govern that kind of stuff, and one of the main ones is called fair use. So, let's say you do a movie and a news show wants to talk about the movie and show a little clip. They could show a small clip of it, but where it goes over the line is when you're making implied endorsements, like with the Sasha Baron Cohen thing. You're implying that he's somehow related to this cannabis company and pushing the cannabis and stuff, which is just not true. So a lot of stuff that happens on the internet, um, nobody really pushes it because there's no money being made. Um, so a lot of stuff, if you watch TikTok, they use a lot of music. You hear favorite songs being used over and over and over again. Um, so while TikTok does pay some money into the rights organizations and stuff, they're not clearing that music with each individual artist and stuff like that. But they're not making any money on it, so nobody goes after them because it costs you more money to try and fight than it's really worth it. But when you're talking about something that's a for profit or for revenue kind of situation, it's that changes it. When it becomes blatantly commercial, then you're going to get the rights holders chasing you and filing lawsuits, and justifiably so.
Yeah, I know it's with music is the same way, but you're right. I mean, these are like even Facebook. I know Mark Zuckerberg made a huge deal with all these rights organizations and major record labels to clear some of the music, and I believe he paid somewhere around $3 billion for to do that. So, because he's getting more and more serious about people doing videos, obviously on Facebook, and then being able to use as the songs that they want to use. So yeah, I want to come back to see what you're up to. I mean, as far as I know now that things are opening up a little bit, I want to ask you what are some of the projects you're working on, and um is it back to normal, or are you back in production, or just give us an update on what's going on with all the production things that
Well,
you were doing before the pandemic?
if you look at my China business, I was invited 2 weeks ago to come to the Shanghai Film Festival, but part of the thing, because I'm an American, um, they want all Americans to quarantine for 2 weeks, and I just said, "There's no way I'm going to fly to Shanghai and sit in a hotel room for 2 weeks to do 3 days at a film festival." So the
Yeah.
China business is still not back to where it was, although we are now in talks with reinvigorating some of our productions. We actually have a crew in Turin, Italy now that's recording kind of the pop culture of Italy stuff for Chinese online platforms. So that's coming back. We're looking at streaming music and stuff. So little by little, the China stuff is coming back, but it's not even close to where it was. I mean, we have a big movie called Empress about the first woman ruler of China. It was supposed to start shooting pre-pandemic. Um, my guess it's probably end of first quarter, 2022, uh, where that'll come back. And but we're buying stuff for Chinese TV. We are negotiating a series, actually a children's series out of Turkey now. Um, and one of the things that's happened during the pandemic is Um, a lot of places where you wouldn't expect good content to come have kind of come to the forefront. I mean, Turkey now is just
Yes.
Israel, just sizzling with creative projects coming out. Um, some of the other stuff I'm doing, Beauty Queen, uh, which is a social media platform for the LGBTQ community. Uh, that's actually launching next week. It was delayed because we couldn't shoot here, but now we're starting to shoot. We figured out how to shoot a lot of virtuals and remotes and stuff like what we're doing now. Uh, so that'll launch in a week from now. Uh, but the big one I've been working on here is called FanVestor. FanVestor is a digital platform that connects celebs and their fans for securities, specialty e-commerce, charity fundraising, soon to be NFTs, and that's been going during the pandemic. I mean, it has been hampered, no question, by the quarantines. When you're trying to deal with getting celebrity deals done, you got to take out the managers and the agents and the lawyers, and it's a lot of what I call the Hollywood schmooze, um, which we haven't been allowed to do. And doing Zoom meetings better than nothing, but certainly it doesn't replace the face-to-face human relationships that developed over 20, 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
So that's starting to come back now as of June 15th. I've been having face-to-face meetings again. Uh, I've actually got on a plane, gone to New York, and that was fun to be able to do that again. So, FanVests are coming along. We've now got this podcast going. We've got the other one called
Yeah.
FanVestor Report going. Um, we still pay a lot of attention to COVID requirements and stuff. Everybody who comes in here has been vaccinated, and in the building we wear masks still
Yeah.
and stuff. But it's not back to normal, but it's getting there.
Going back to what you were saying about the productions in Turkey, um, I've been hearing a lot about that. As you know, I'm pretty active on Clubhouse app, and that's something that I've been hearing a lot from other people in the rooms that are talking about films and TV. And even some people approached me, say, "Hey, you should be writing music for some of these Turkish, TV shows and things like that." As I did a little bit more research, I realized that their whole economy, the whole country's economy, is is starting to get better and better. It's improving because of these TV and film productions that they're doing. So that's amazing. Are you having pretty good contacts over there? Are you dealing with some of these TV and film producers over in Turkey?
Yeah, for me, it's actually kind of interesting because my heritage comes out
Yes.
of Turkey. My dad's family is
Yeah.
all from there, and but I'm actually on the advisory board and working with a company called Film.io, and that's a company that's funding a lot of independent films, and they just got a very, very sizable investor out of Turkey that's put money in. Their first film is actually going to start next month, called Alaska. Um, and I think about a fifth of the budget, 20% of the budget, was provided by a Turkish entity, Turkish Entertainment Fund. So Turkey is booming. I think Israel, the number of great TV shows coming out of there is just
Yeah.
incredible. There's some really good stuff there. It started with Fauda, where people started to pay attention, and it's just continued. There's some really good stuff there. So, a lot of different parts of the world are starting to find their place in the world of media and entertainment. So it's certainly not a U.S. centric business any longer.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you're tapping into that. And Israel has always been pretty active in doing some really quality TV shows. I mean, it's nothing new for Israel. I think they've been doing it for I would say for over a decade now, right?
Yeah, but I think now with the digital platforms, you're starting to see the level of acceptance change. Where, before, if you had something done in Hebrew and subtitled in English, you were never going to get it on a broadcast network in the U.S.
Yeah.
because the percentage of audience that they need on any given show to justify the expenditure for that show would just be out of line. But with the digital platforms and their voracious
Yeah.
appetite for new content, you've seen shows like Unorthodox and things like that get on, which are subtitled shows that have done amazingly well, and
Yeah.
for the audience, and for the platforms that have taken a chance on them.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. So, yeah, it's great. Larry, I love talking to you, and I hope we provide a lot of value to our viewers. I know I get a lot of questions, and I know you get a lot of questions. So, what we try to do on this show, sometimes, we try to bring as many great guests as we can, and there's a lot of them lined up already. But sometimes I just like sitting and talking with you and giving out a lot of information and the things that we get from people that want us to talk about. So these are some of the comments we've been getting from people, some of the emails that I've been getting. So I really appreciate that you're enlightening us and just kind of talking about these things. But you know what? I'd love to talk to you some more, Larry, but I'm on vacation here and it's a beautiful day. I'm gonna go out and have some fun, hang out with the family. And how about we say goodbye? And then I believe starting next week, we have some great, wonderful guests that I don't want to spoil anything. I'm going to let people know next week. But do you want to say anything else, Larry, before we take off?
No, no, no. It's always fun, and in case you haven't realized, I have an opinion about everything. My mother used to hit me in the head and say, "Why is it that you have an opinion about everything?" Um, but no, coming up is some fun stuff. We have Dina Myers, who's the international person on the immersive Van Gogh experience event that's doing gangbusters. And then the beginning of August is going to be interesting because we're actually going to focus on the anniversary of the death of Marilyn Monroe, and we've got a lot of great guests. And you start to get into conspiracy theories, the Kennedys and the Hoffa and all of that stuff there. So a lot of fun stuff coming up. The next month is going to be really cool.
And the Emmy Awards too, right, Larry? We're going to talk about that
The
and
Emmys are
all
coming
the,
up in September, and
yeah,
starting around mid August, we're going to start to have a lot of people who are involved in the Emmys in terms of putting on the show, but also nominated for a lot of things. And if you'll just look at the nominations for this year, it's amazing um,
yeah,
how well these digital platforms have done. I mean,
yes,
Netflix and
yes.
Amazon and HBO Prime and all of that stuff have done amazing.
The major networks only got, I believe it was CBS that only got one nomination, but everything else was like Netflix, HBO, and all these other platforms.
Yeah, I
Not,
mean, to me, I look at a show like Queen's Gambit, and I
yeah,
just marvel at that show, and I applaud whoever greenlighted that. I mean, if somebody came to me and said, "I want to do a 8-part TV series, a 10-part TV series about a woman who plays chess," I probably would have thrown him out. But somebody there had the foresight and the brains to say, "Hey, wait a second, this goes so far beyond. This is not about chess. This is an amazing drama story and stuff like that." And they took a chance on it, and it's one of the best things I've seen on TV in years and years.
I agree. I agree. Great shows. Larry, thank you so much. It's always great to hang out and talk with you. So I'm going to do my little thing here, vacation, and I will see you next week. I appreciate all of you guys for watching the show. And if you get any value, please uh, send us a comment. And we read all the comments and we try to get back to you guys. Please share it on social media. We really appreciate it. We're here to give back, hopefully bring some value, give you guys some information that you can use. You talking to about Larry Namer, who's the founder of E Entertainment, probably one of the most knowledgeable Hollywood executive ever. So you got him right here. If you have any comments, he will read it personally, and we try to get back to you guys. So thank you so much for watching. Larry, good to see you again. and we will see you guys next week. Take care.
Bye.